when the accident happened, they said, "Oh, that's awful." And, when I woke up in the hospital and they put me through all the machines, the first feeling I had was relief, which is weird, like a weird feeling to break your back in 8 spots and your whole body and you're covered in blood. And then you're relieved you don't have to go to work the next day or something. That's kind of like a big, powerful feeling.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I drove an ATV off a cliff, like a 40-foot cliff, and I broke like 8 vertebrae and my sternum and then I recovered. Luckily, he found me walking on the beach. So
and you're sitting.
I'm here.
Wow.
And then that caused me to lose that job. And then I had a couple years where I just didn't have purpose. I kind of had to reinvent myself, and that was a big struggle. And it was a struggle for my relationship too, when you're not earning and then you feel a bit purposeless and stuff. So it was a tough couple of years, and I was balancing, like 4 different jobs, and you really have to kind of swallow your ego to do things you didn't think you would do at 39 years old or 38 years old, like deliver food or whatever you need to do at all hours of the day to make it work, and then just have the faith that it will all come together eventually. And it did. It seemed like it kind of did come together in September. And now I'm here. But at the same time, with every struggle, you have to see the blessings. The blessing was I survived that accident. I recovered from it mostly. I still have some pain, but that was a blessing. People kept hearing about my accident and say, "Oh, you're lucky to be alive." And I totally agree. And we're at the other end of it, hopefully.
Yeah, amazing. What was it about that experience that that showed you that you have to reinvent yourself, or kind of find, you use the word, find another purpose or something?
Yeah.
So why was that not visible in your life before this experience?
Well, you know what? Like, that path I was on before the accident might have been the wrong path anyways. I felt like I'd gained all this weight, and I was doing this work I wasn't really into, and so in some ways the accident was a way out of that path. And so it's a blessing in its own way. And so I don't think I was living a good purpose on that path anyways. And then I had the accident, and then I was
Wiped clean.
So I could start all over again. And it's just, I guess another way of looking at it is it took a couple years to find a new path. It doesn't just happen right away. When the accident happened, they said, "Oh, that's awful." And, when I woke up in the hospital and they put me through all the machines, the first feeling I had was relief, which is weird, like a weird feeling to break your back in 8 spots and your whole body and you're covered in blood. And then you're relieved you don't have to go to work the next day or something. That's kind of like a big, powerful feeling.
Yeah.
That was the end of an era.
Right. Yeah. Wow. That's so interesting. Yeah. You're laying in the hospital bed and you actually had relief.
Yeah. My wife, she came, when they put me in the machine, she came in, I was in the CT scanner machine, and when I got pulled out, she was just she didn't know how to take the news. We'd only been together a few years. So this was 3 years ago, and then a few years at that time. So, and so she said, "Wiggle your toes." And then I did wiggle my toes, and she was kind of like, "Okay, we can make this work." But if I had not wiggled my toes, maybe she had to make a decision at that point to stay with me, right? Like, that's a big decision to make, to stay with someone who can't walk.
Is this something that is an assumption on your end to this day, or something that she communicated?
We've talked about it.
The wiggle toe situation, yeah.
Yeah, because she admits, she's like, "Yeah, if you don't wiggle your toes, I have to start doing a different calculation in my head." Because it's true. I mean,
it's a different life.
It's the reality of a relationship too, especially when it's only 3 years in or something, or 4 years in. You have to make that. You have to look at the rest of your life. And you're like, "Oh, do I want to push someone around in a wheelchair, or do I want to start a new life?" But luckily, I wiggled my toes, and she stayed with me in the hospital. It was during COVID. It was lucky they let her in, because then she was able to bathe me and do things. So it added a new depth to our relationship too, which is really good. And I think I probably would have rather not gone through that accident. My body's not the way it was before. It'd be nicer to have a pristine body where I could do handstands and do things that I used to do. But yeah, but it's tough to do that calculation too, like to rewind your life and actually start erasing all those steps that lead you to here. That's hard to rechart your life.
Yeah. Would you be okay today being at the old job if you didn't have the accident?
I don't think so. I think I needed to change course.